I think everyone just needs to be a little bit honest about it. You guys get mad about it sometimes, but I think you would rather me not. I think you'd rather me just not out here pretending that I'm not who I say I am. I am. I lean to the left politically, and I know a bunch of you don't like that. That's fine. I'm not here to convert you. That's not what this is about to be. I'm not about to give you a big spiel about why you need to hear my views all the time. That's not what I'm saying. I just think that the arguments against intersect or mixing politics and sports, there is a real argument to it, right? Which is in general, if we're talking about Wilder versus Fury, and I know the race question kind of came up. I thought Tyson Fury handled it well. I think people from the UK don't understand racial dynamics here in the United States. Like, why do you Yanks make it all about race? Well, I don't think you guys really understand what you're saying when you say that, but again, I'm not here to litigate that. Point being is I thought he handled it well. And in general, if you're talking boxing tactics between Wilder and Fury, what does what Bernie Sanders is saying or Trump is saying have to do with any of that? Nothing. It's a complete waste of time. It's utterly irrelevant. And so when people shoehorn it into these weird conversations, I think everyone's like, dude, what are you doing? It's not, there's a time and a place for it, and this ain't it. So, okay, fine. Hold on. Make sure I want to. There we go. That's cool. I don't really have an issue with that. You know what? I think I might be able to raise my seat a little bit. Hang on. Yes. There we go. Okay. So that's like really when it gets irrelevant. If you're breaking down, who's going to win the big football game and what needs to happen between the coaches and blah blah blah, or even just here's about the legacy of the program. I mean, there's so many ways where political considerations have absolutely no relevance whatsoever. And I think most people would agree with that. The problem that I think a lot of people don't want to admit, and this is why the conversation gets muddled a little bit, there are a lot of people, particularly in this sport, where there's a divergence in political views between the media class and then the fan base. And as a consequence, they make the argument about, well, we don't want to see politics intersect with sports. I don't think they're being honest about that, because when you have fighters express, real right-wing views or just traditional sort of center-right views, whatever, no one really seems to get upset about it, at least not in the same kind of way. Because what they're really saying is, and you found this out through like Clay Travis. Clay Travis is a guy who does good football coverage, who leans to the right politically. He covers mostly college football. He has often been like, oh, these guys like Bomani Jones and these guys like, you name it over at ESPN, they're constantly mixing politics into sports. And it's like, he's not wrong about that, but your real objection is that you just don't like the kind of politics they are interjecting. Not so much that they're doing it. Yes, sometimes people shoehorn it in when it has no relevance. But what I have found over time is that what they're really just saying is, I don't want your politics. I don't want politics generally where it absolutely does not belong, like X's and O's conversations. And if you are going to bring it in, I don't want yours. And I don't know why they can't just say that. Just say that. What's the argument against that? Oh, you should hear my political views because they're more important? Like, who the fuck says something like that? Just be honest about why you don't want it. You don't want it because you don't agree with it. This is my thing about the anti-doping stuff. Oh, this is about protecting fighters. No, it's not. It's like fighting is like smoking. There is no safe way to do it. MMA and UFC is not safer. There are not less injuries at all as a result of USADA being there. If anything, they're up. It's a ridiculous conversation. The real conversation is about USADA being there to protect the UFC's institutional interest. And by the way, that's not a bad thing. Hello, the UFC has a right to protect their institutional interests. But at least can we have a debate about what the reality is, not some stupid-ass side argument that's got nothing to do with it? So all I'm asking for folks is to stop saying you don't want politics in sports. No, nobody wants it where it absolutely doesn't belong. But there are parts where it intersects, especially when you're talking about labor rights and labor law and contract law and who's entitled to what. These have political undertones, whether you want to acknowledge them or not. That's real. And then when people are talking about these right-wing groups who are having using MMA as a way to make headway socially in Europe, that's relevant. And when Nurmagomedov takes pictures with a warlord, dude, these are like, you're allowed to have a comment about it. So, if you don't like that stuff, don't click on it, is my strongest recommendation. And then can we just have a debate about what the debate's principally about? people are fine with their political viewpoints being used in sports for the most part, and they don't like it when the opposite happens. I don't particularly love it when Dana White and Donald Trump are up there, but like, it's just a reality. It's just a reality. So the answer is, I don't think it's going away. I think there are better ways to handle it. I just wish the conversation could be honest. The conversation is about what it's about. I don't want to hear your views on politics, Luke. Okay, all right. Fair, fine. But don't tell me what this is really about is we don't want politics and sports to be mixed. There's a lot of evidence that says that's not true. A lot of evidence.